Welcome, boys, to my in-depth, full, advanced testosterone guide. Now, today I'm going to be discussing how I got my testosterone levels from a level of 934 nanograms a deciliter to 1109 nanograms a deciliter. I have surpassed 1,000 nanograms. Now, if you don't understand testosterone levels exactly, 916 is the top 1%, and 827 is the top of the reference range. So you can conclude that I am somewhere in the top 1% of the top 1% when you hear that I have a level of 1109 or past 1,000. Now, I'm going to be discussing today what exactly I did to get my testosterone to those levels, but real quick, I want to go over how exactly it has changed my life, how exactly it has improved my life going through this testosterone optimization journey. You're going to notice that these things I'm about to name are pretty big things, and I solely contribute these to my testosterone. If I didn't have my level of testosterone, I don't think I could have achieved anywhere near the same level of success in these categories. So the first category is I got a state record bench, and I'm going for a national or American record bench. Clearly, testosterone helps build muscle, specifically in your upper body. I don't train for aesthetics, and I have a much more aesthetic upper body than many people. I went from the invisible kid in class where your opinion was never heard, you talk and nobody would really look at you, to being the person where people actively ask for your opinion and want to know what exactly you have to say about something. And why do I say testosterone is responsible for this? Well, I'm going to talk about it later, but it has very positive effects on your brain, and the effects on your physical state just change how people see you. Before you start this journey, you may notice that women tend to give you a lot of bullshit. You go on a date, they kind of text dilly-dally on the next one, and then decide to go on another, or they just lead you on forever. All that bullshit just goes away. I gained respect from women when I did this journey, and that's probably because it's hard work and it just changes how you act. It changes the way you act in a very positive way that's going to have a very positive influence on the way people see you. And then the last idea I'm going to accredit to this is me graduating high school with my associate's degree. I was always hardworking in school, but once I started my testosterone optimization journey, I noticed that it was a lot easier for me to actually study for hours and hours and hours and focus on nothing else. I gained the ability to focus, and because of one effect testosterone plays on your brain, I actually started enjoying and sort of craving those moments where I'm actually struggling to get something done. And what is this all centered around? I gained control. I gained the ability to choose. I gained my brain back, my ability to actually control my brain. And this is why I created this advanced testosterone optimization video. I've spent over 100 hours doing research and including the time I'm about to spend recording and editing. It's a massive project that I am going on. Testosterone has dropped by 56% since the 1950s. 56%. And all these health issues, people act like it's all these minute things, all these things that don't really matter, when testosterone is the sole thing that impacts a man's life. If you have high testosterone, you're going to be more active. You're going to be a happier individual. You're going to get things done. People are going to group around you. This information is everything that you can find on the internet. And I created a system, a little ranking system that you're going to go through later to find where exactly you should start and what exactly you should do in your journey. Now, if you start with the really advanced stuff, you're neglecting the smaller things. That's why I created this order, because if you start off with the smaller things, then you're gonna give your body the resources to build testosterone. You're gonna give your body the will to build testosterone, and we're only gonna build up from there. A year ago, I created a list of actions that I took to get my testosterone to 934. But then I started going through the actions to get my testosterone all the way to 1109. A huge deal. Now, what I discovered I knew better was possible. I knew I can make a better video that's not just simply a list of actions. This video is going to be a list of actions, but it's going to be in a specific order based around my point system. It's going to cover things that you don't hear on YouTube. You don't hear all those things on YouTube. I have never heard anybody say some of these things, yet there are studies on some of these things I'm going to bring up that show they have great effect on your hormones. So let me say this. Because this is a list, because this is a specific order, it is going to take time. So only if you are a disciplined man, you should be following this, because it's going to be a period of time, and it's going to be something that you have to continue. You can't just stop the second you lose motivation. These have to become habit, ritual, and part of your life. Now, why exactly is testosterone important? I've talked about how it improves you, but how? Now, testosterone has a great effect on your mental state. Now, most people think of testosterone, they think of building muscle. Yes, that's true. They think of sex drive. Yes, that's true. But the greatest effect is on your brain. Your brain is developing from this hormone up until you are 25 years old. Now, that doesn't mean past 25, you can't get the mental effect from high testosterone, but if you focus on boosting your testosterone before you turn 25, it will have a permanent effect. People ask me, if I follow this journey and I quit, have I lost everything? Well, it depends. Honestly, if you're past 25 and you quit, yeah, you lost everything except for any muscle you built, except for anything you've acquired from the testosterone before that. You don't lose that, obviously, but you lose the benefits of high testosterone. But before 25, if you do quit and you were on this journey before you were 25, then those effects last. The effects they have on your brain development last, and you're going to permanently have a masculinized brain if you're doing this up until you're 25 years old. Now, after 5 years old, you're only going to have bonuses. It's still going to help, but now you're going to have it stacking. It's going to be the journey you were on before you were 25, and then on top of it, your current testosterone levels. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. So if I'm older than 25 and I didn't do this journey, testosterone drops really quick as you age. Testosterone's dropping, so what's the point if I'm not going to get permanent benefits from what I'm doing? Well, the idea of testosterone dropping as you age is way over exaggerated, significantly over exaggerated. Testosterone only drops by 1% per year on average as you age. You could theoretically be dropping less than that, but because that's just the average. So if you follow this journey, you're likely not going to be dropping by 1% per year. So by that idea of your testosterone could be around 1400, if you take a 1% decline per year, then you could be in the thousands up until you're 51 years old. There's cases where people in their 90s or older have testosterone levels of higher than young men currently, in the 800s, in the 900s. It's crazy. So what exactly is testosterone doing for your brain? It's making you a leader. It gives you all the traits of being a leader. It makes you disciplined. It makes you hardworking. It makes you move with speed. It makes you do things even when you are struggling. It makes you enjoy the struggle. It makes you not get addicted to the silly stuff that doesn't matter because it's not enough competition for your brain to actually enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy scrolling on TikTok if you have high testosterone. That's simply not a thing. Yes, you could get stuck in feedback loops from dopamine, but that's not enough to override the testosterone. Testosterone is solely in your body through nature for your competitive drive. Testosterone is in your body for you to become a leader, for you to compete. You think of animals. Animals fight for the woman. You know what determines which animal fights longer in nature? It's testosterone levels. It impacts all of nature. Every animal you could think of likely has testosterone in them. And think about it. Whether you deny it or not, you're watching a YouTube video right now. Nobody knows what you're thinking. So just admit it to yourself. Everything in life is centered around ego, whether you like it or not. It's something that's out of human nature. Whether you're playing a video game, you want to be the best at your video game. Now, gaming isn't necessarily a high testosterone activity, but the person with higher testosterone is likely going to be the person who works harder in the video game to become the best, or gets annoyed or angry. Why am I not the best? And then all the way from going to the gym, wanting to be the strongest individual in the gym. That's all centered around ego, around testosterone. Testosterone is your fuel for that fire. Now, I've heard all the bullshit copes. Oh, that guy's super successful and he has low testosterone. It's very clear that he has low testosterone. So why are you telling me I need high testosterone? And the simple answer is, I never told you that you can't be successful without high testosterone. You're just not going to be as successful as you should be. Whatever you achieve with low testosterone is less success than you could have achieved. Now, why not utilize this gift from God, the levels of testosterone you're truly meant to have, if all these chemicals weren't in your environment killing your nature? Now, the last thing I'm going to say about the mental side is the mental effect testosterone has on your brain is actually from that testosterone converting to estrogen. Now, I can make a full estrogen guide talking about how you can make this conversion healthy and how you could reduce your estrogen levels from other sources, but I'm not too sure if there's interest in that. If you do want that, let me know in the comments. If not, I'll probably just make some other videos. Now, I want you to imagine something. Imagine you have caveman energy, drive, discipline, and musculature. You'd be a beast. Combined with modern knowledge, you would be an absolute beast in the modern day. Now, why exactly is testosterone dropping so rapidly if it has such a positive impact on you? Now, first, I want to bring up the idea of what I call the chopping yard. These greedy companies have created what I call the chopping yard. And the chopping yard means that they are creating these products that harm you. They're creating product after product that's killing your hormones. And then what they're doing is they're spreading the norm that these products are normal. They're making them the norm. Oh, you're not going to be a normal person without them in X amount of time. If you read any entrepreneurship book, one of the quickest things you want to do in your entrepreneurship journey is make it the norm. If it's the norm, then people are going to gravitate towards it. So first of all, they make it the norm. And then what they do is they conduct studies on these products. They go, we know this product kills your testosterone level. Let's conduct a biased study. And when we release the information of how this doesn't kill your testosterone levels, everybody's just going to believe it. Because nobody reads studies, right? Nobody reads the study. Everybody just looks and goes, oh, they concluded this. And in theory, there's so many things, so many places where that happens. I mean, cholesterol is an example of it. There's studies saying that cholesterol doesn't improve your testosterone levels, and I'm going to go through later why it does. Like I said, these actions have made testosterone drop by 56% since 1950. Now, what if you listen to this YouTube video and actually take my advice? You know what happens? You know what people say because of this? They read some biased study that supposedly disproves these things, so they call it bro science. They call you weird. They call it abnormal. And really, you're just fixing your levels, and then suddenly, when you have high levels of testosterone and people notice the change, suddenly they start asking, bro, you've changed. Why have you changed? And the answer will be simple. It's because you did the things that they were calling bro science. You actually dedicated a large period of your time to watching this video. So that's why I call it the chopping yard. They chop out anybody who doesn't follow their biased studies. They turn everybody against it through spreading false information. And I mean, everybody's been fed false information. Makes me wonder, what choice did you guys have? Now stick with me. I'm about to get to the advice on testosterone, but I just want you to understand very clearly how testosterone impacts you So when these invaders do come, you can fend them off with your knowledge that you are equipped with from this video. Now let me ask you, are you trying to spread what you learned to others? You probably are. Most people are, at least on this journey. Now, why? You have low testosterone levels. Now think of it. Would you want to take advice from somebody with low testosterone levels? Somebody who can't control themselves fully? Somebody who's not actually above the average person yet? Probably not. Now, I don't know your specific situation, but if your answer is no, then stop trying to convince your brothers, your friends, to lock in and follow this journey with you. Lock in yourself, improve your testosterone levels, and they will follow, I promise you. In person, from people who don't know my testosterone levels, I get told pretty frequently, when you enter the group, the energy sort of changes. And that's solely just because of my testosterone, because it has given me a different energy or different way of going about life. Pause this video and go grab a notebook. Go find some way you could take notes on this video. First, I'm going to have you judge 5 traits, rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and in a second, I'm going to give you those traits and which section you should go to, depending on your current score. Now, I need you to be brutally honest with yourself. Be harsh, because if you jump a section, you may miss information that you really do need. This may be the one small thing that you are missing and is holding you back. And in those previous sections, I am going very in depth. So if I'm mentioning sleep, I'm mentioning how exactly you need to optimize your sleep, how exactly you could get perfect sleep quality. So just because I have a section titled sleep doesn't mean I'm going to tell you to sleep 7.5 to 9 hours and then move on. I'm going to give you more details. Although, before I give you the information to change you on your journey, I need to tell you something. Testosterone is low for a reason. Optimizing your testosterone is hard. There's a reason people are so quick to believe these bias studies. It's what's easy. It's what's easy to have going on in your life. So you just have to choose what you prefer. For low testosterone, there's ease. So what I'm going to tell you is if you cannot tolerate struggle, if you cannot tolerate grinding through this, then close this video and go find some mental health guide. That mental health guide will help you more than this video. And then if you decide you want to come back, you can. For those of you who stayed, you're similar to how I was at the end of high school and on. You prefer a mental battle of greatness over being walked like a happy dog. So congratulations. Now let's get through this journey and go in depth. Bring out your notebook right now if you haven't, because we are about to get started. I'm going to tell you this first thing before I get your score in these categories, because no matter what category you're in, it's important. Now, I've spent weeks, hundreds of hours working on this video, and I want you to do one thing. I want you to share this to a single friend, not more than a single friend, just one single friend. And why is this? Because I want you to go on this journey with someone. You're not telling them how to optimize your testosterone. You need to find a friend who is going to look for the information on their own. They're going to combine their knowledge and what they learn with your knowledge. You guys are going to compete over it. You guys are going to disagree. You guys are going to get frustrated because one person thinks this is right, the other person thinks this is right. But in the end, I want you to have higher testosterone than that person. You have 1 year to get your testosterone tested. In 1 year, you will both go and get your testosterone tested, make this agreement, and then you will see who has higher testosterone. This alone will stimulate your body, your brain, to make you produce more testosterone. Competition is crucial, and this will give you constant competition. Now, here are the 5 categories. They are energy, effort, sexual drive, competition, and muscle mass. Now, I don't know your life. That's why I'm giving you the option, but you have 2 choices. You could either jump straight to the section that you fall in, or you could go ahead and watch everything before too. Now, watching everything before will be quite useful. I guarantee you will learn something from that. Now, if you have the time, do that because it'll obviously help your testosterone. But the section you're in is the most important. So go ahead and jump straight to the section you're in if you don't have much time to watch this video, or if you don't plan on jumping back to it later. If you're very serious about this, I recommend watching it through and through to understand every bit and piece. First is energy. How often do you need to take breaks when you're working hard? Do you ever need to take breaks? Could you work for 24 hours straight? You may get hungry, yeah, but you'd rather just continue doing what you're doing. If it came down to it, if it was in a worst case scenario, would you work for 24 hours straight and do what's needed to succeed? That would be a 10. Or is it more so, yeah, I take a 5 minute break every 30 minutes because that's shown to recharge my brain because I get tired and I start losing focus and where's my phone? Next is effort. Testosterone makes effort feel good. You love the feeling of working hard when you have high testosterone. It's something you will notice very quickly. Now, what exactly do you get more enjoyment from? What do you crave more? Would you rather complete some difficult task, something that you have to do, and you have to keep doing it, and you're struggling, but when you get done, you have the greatest rush ever? It's the greatest feeling. Or you don't get much of a rush. You'd rather scroll on TikTok, you get done and you're like, okay, where's my phone? I just want some TikTok. So the person who craves it couldn't even touch their phone because it's so boring, couldn't even scroll on TikTok. It's just torturous. That would be a 10. And that's just one example. Just because you don't like scrolling on TikTok doesn't mean you aren't a 10. A 10 is if you actually enjoy the hard work, enjoy the feeling afterwards, and crave it and must have it. But a 1 is more so, you don't really care about getting something hard done. I mean, cool, I was productive, but I'd honestly rather spend that time going and partying or smoking weed or doing some boring stuff, maybe even scrolling on TikTok. My next one is sexual drive. Now, everybody lusts for somebody. Everybody has the temptation in their brain to chase some sort of beautiful woman, or if you're a woman, man, obviously. What I am more so talking about is how often do you get random boners? Do you wake up with morning wood all the time? Are you constantly horny? Is it on your mind, but you kind of ignore it because you want to be productive? Or is it just something that's there? I mean, sometimes I get horny. It's more so I just want a woman. Do you get raging morning wood whenever you wake up? Is it hard to go away? Does it stay there for a long period of time? So yeah, I'll tell you myself. It's not about the intensity of it. It's about the duration. If it doesn't go away forever, then that's likely a good sign. If you don't have random boners, you have problems getting it up, and you don't get morning wood, then you're likely lower on this scale. The next one I have for you is competition. How badly do you need competition? How badly do you crave it? Do you have this constant craving in the back of your mind for competition? Do you have to win? Does it make you genuinely angry when you lose? Or it's kind of annoying, oh, dude, I just always lose. I'm gonna move on. When you lose, you must do it again. That's the feeling of high testosterone. I must win. That right there would be a 10. If competition is a driving factor in your life, you need some sort of competition and you have to win at whatever competition you're doing. And a 1 would more so be like, yeah, I don't like competing. It makes me a little nervous and I get a little shy and I don't want to be the person who loses, but I'd rather just not do it. I kind of want to talk to my friends. That's why I go to these competition things. And then the last one is muscle mass. How quickly does your body inflate with muscle when you touch a weight? If you touch a weight and you grow very quickly, you immediately notice progress. You're hitting huge PRs. You're surpassing your friends on bench. You're actually making more progress than all the people you know. Then you're likely an individual with high testosterone. Specifically, you should be looking at your upper body, your shoulders, your upper chest, and your traps. Those are filled with androgen receptors. That is where your testosterone binds to for building muscle. Yes, your whole body has androgen receptors. Your whole body grows from testosterone, but specifically these areas are going to be the most noticeable. That's why I mentioned your bench press. Now, if you scored 20 or below, you're going to start off in the beginner section. If you scored 20 to 30, then you're going to start off in the intermediate section. 30 to 40, go to the advanced section, and 40 to 50, go to the elite section. If you said 50, rewatch what I just said because you are lying to me. You do not have a perfect score of 50. Nobody does. If you go past the information that you fall in and go to the section you haven't reached yet, I really recommend you be careful. Now, this is because that information is stuff that's going to take your focus off the most important things right now. You're not going to see as much progress from that information. So go ahead and stick to the sections you're in. You could go past it, but just make sure you're careful. Now, what are we doing in each section? In the beginner phase, you're giving your body the will to produce testosterone. You're teaching it it's something that it actually needs. It's important. You're getting your body to produce it in a level that isn't the level of a woman. In the intermediate phase, now your body wants to produce testosterone. So you're going to be giving it the resources to produce testosterone. And then in the advanced phase, we're going to remove the modern issues, the things in your life that are taking away from your testosterone production. Yeah, your body may have the resources and want to produce testosterone, but there's stuff in our environment and stuff in general that's just going to prevent your body from doing what it actually wants to do. And in the elite phase, we're going to make your brain crave testosterone production, and we're going to make it utilize testosterone in a superior way. Welcome to the beginner phase. Now, you're going to appreciate that you were honest with yourself and knew exactly what your body needs. First, I want to discuss your diet, and we're going to start off pretty damn brutal with your diet. This one is going to make people think you are crazy if you actually listen. You're going to start off by doing the carnivore diet for 21 days. Now, there's a purpose for this. Your gut microbiome actually has a very significant impact on hormone regulation. So if you have a healthy gut microbiome, you're going to have higher testosterone levels. Now, how exactly do you reset your microbiome, get it to a healthy level? You go on what's called the carnivore diet. All the sugar craving bacteria dies when you're on the carnivore diet because you don't feed it any carbohydrates. You're not eating any carbs on the carnivore diet, and the carnivore diet is just a significantly more healthy option than the keto diet. Now, once you kill off these bad bacterias, you need to keep your gut health healthy. Now, there's a few things you could add into your diet to maintain your gut health. The best ones to add into your diet are bananas, garlic, and onions. These support your gut health greatly. High cholesterol is actually very important in your diet. Now, why exactly is this? Studies have actually shown that low cholesterol will plummet your testosterone levels. This is because testosterone is synthesized from cortisol or cholesterol. But the thing is, no studies have shown that high cholesterol actually increases your testosterone levels. Now, this is because of modern day. This is because these studies are not looking at the thing they actually need to be looking at. Now, what cholesterol is going to do is improve the outliers' testosterone levels. So if you take a random group of people, a truly randomly sampled study, then most people aren't going to be optimizing their testosterone. They're going to be having too many factors in their life that's making it so their body isn't producing testosterone. It's not a matter of whether they have enough resources to produce testosterone, it's that their body doesn't care to. They just have shut down their natural production. So consuming more cholesterol isn't going to make them produce more testosterone because that's not what cholesterol is. Cholesterol is a resource for high testosterone. It's not going to boost your testosterone if you're not doing the other things. So my simple response to that, why do studies show that cholesterol doesn't boost testosterone? It's simply because the outliers are removed from studies. Now, how do I know that this is true that cholesterol will boost your testosterone. It's simply science. Testosterone is synthesized from cholesterol. Let me ask you this. Why do you believe cholesterol increases your risk of heart disease when there isn't a single study that shows it? So you believe the studies that say, oh, cholesterol doesn't increase testosterone, but you believe the non existent studies that show cholesterol increases your risk of heart disease? Now, inside of your body, this cholesterol converts to one of two things. It either converts to testosterone or cortisol. If you're more stressed, it's going to convert more to cortisol. If you're less stressed, it's going to convert more to testosterone. And here's the other thing with more cholesterol. More cholesterol means that even if you're stressed and a lot of it is being converted to cortisol, then you're still going to have enough to produce testosterone. So cortisol is going to have much less of an effect on your testosterone. I personally prefer to have a nighttime snack with fat inside of it. A study showed that when people have a nighttime snack 2 hours before bed with cholesterol in it, then it does boost their testosterone by on average about 30 nanograms a deciliter. And then my favorite meal is to have eggs that are smothered in butter. This sounds so unhealthy because of what you've been told, and everybody thinks you're a psychopath when you do it, but it's amazing for your testosterone levels. People say that it's going to give you a heart attack, but what do you think's more likely to give you a heart attack? Being obese and being unfit or fat in general, above 20% body fat, or being lean, being fit, and being the person who eats a lot of cholesterol? Now, the thing you really want to avoid is sugar. Sugar is the devil for testosterone. Sugar drops your testosterone by 25% if you consume 50 grams of it. A Mountain Dew has, I believe, 60 grams of sugar in it. You look at anything, it has so much sugar in it. You really need to be avoiding sugar, except for one thing. Sugar drops your cortisol. I'll be talking about that more later. So when we're looking at sugars, you would think, well, all normal sugars, like processed sugars, are D or F tier, probably F tier. And then you look up at fruit. Fruit is probably A tier because it has properties in it that makes it so it doesn't decrease your testosterone. And then up in S tier, I'd put honey because what honey does is it boosts your luteinizing hormone. So when you consume it, yeah, it may drop your testosterone, but the increase in luteinizing hormone is going to put your body into overdrive the next day, and in the future, you're actually going to be cranking out a lot more testosterone inside of your body. So I personally love utilizing a spoonful of honey about an hour into my workout. I'll explain why an hour specifically later. And if you have interest in going extreme at this, if you live alone and you're willing to do something hard, then after the carnivore diet, go ahead and do what's called an elimination diet. And this is just what your diet is from now on. You have to keep your diet to under 20 ingredients. Because if you look at the back of any ingredients, or any meal that's frozen at the store, you'll likely see one mac and cheese tray has 30 ingredients on it. 30 things that you only know the name of 10. You've only heard of 10 of those things. The rest of them are like xenotrophian. Do you really think all these things have been studied, or do you think they're just putting random things into your food so it tastes better, so you buy it more, so it's preserved longer? Now, I want to mention milk because there's a huge misconception that a bunch of milk is going to help you build muscle. Now, previously, I was very against milk. Now I'm against it, but it's not as big of a deal. What milk does is it increases your estrogen. It has a lot of estrogen in it. A cup of milk, on average, has about 3.4 to 5.5 nanograms a deciliter of estrogen on it. You want to have between 10 and 50 nanograms a deciliter of estrogen in your body. So consuming this is a big increase in estrogen. It's increasing your estrogen by about 10% if you're on the higher end. If you're on the lower end, about 50%. But that's not exactly true. It doesn't increase your estrogen as much as the specific number. Now, that's how much estrogen is in it. You have to consider bioavailability, which I forgot to consider last time I was speaking about this. So the amount that's bioavailable is only 2 to 10%. So consuming a cup of milk is more so increasing your estrogen about 1%, maybe 5% on the higher end. So it certainly increases it, and it certainly is noticeable, but really consider it. But I personally find it very helpful on a bulk, so I recommend you be cautious of it and don't overutilize it, but it's not too bad to have a little bit of milk. And then whey protein, I was previously just against because, once again, same reason, but after the bioavailability, the amount of estrogen in it is negligible, so whey protein you are fine to consume. Now, you know what I actually am going to tell you to avoid that's going to catch you off guard? You should avoid grains. Now, if you look at the food pyramid, grains are the most aided thing on the food pyramid. Oh, you should eat a bunch of this. Now, what's the issue with grains? Think of how grains protect themselves in nature. Grains protect themselves from nature. They're not moving at all, so they can't run away. What they actually have in them is anti-nutrients, stuff that kills other resources inside of your body, specifically zinc and magnesium and a few other resources that are crucial for your testosterone production. So without these, then you're not going to have high testosterone. So if you eat a lot of grains, what's going to happen is your body can't utilize the resources that you're giving it because it's being killed off by this anti-nutrients in grains, and your effort is going to nothing. So be very cautious of eating grains. In this stage, I'm going to give you the beginner supplements, not all the supplements. Now, these supplements are crucial no matter where you're at. They're still boosting my testosterone levels, and they will boost yours. The first one is zinc. This increases your hormone receptor activity, so you're going to be able to respond more to your luteinizing hormone and your follicle-stimulating hormone, and you're going to be able to produce more testosterone. It also helps maintain the integrity of your Leydig cells, which I'm going to talk about later, but those are the cells in your balls that produce testosterone. Next thing I have on the list is vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 helps your balls produce testosterone because it's one of the resources for producing testosterone. If you can't see the sun, then you certainly need D3 in your day, or at least if you're not getting half an hour of sunlight each day. I take 5,000 IU of vitamin D3. The next one is magnesium. This is a tool that you don't get much of in your diet, and it's used for hydration, obviously. It's one of the components of electrolytes, but it also helps you convert your D3 in your body to testosterone. And then this final one, you guys probably have never heard of it. I know I have never heard of it until more recently, and this is called Shilajit. There was a study conducted on this, and the participants had a 19 to 31% increase in their testosterone levels when taking this for 90 days. Now, there isn't a whole lot of research on it, so I recommend you do some research yourself, research the other health effects from it, because there are some other positive health effects, and there may be some negative health effects. I'm not too sure about the negative side, but it increases your testosterone by 19 to 31%. The next thing I have for you is sunlight. People don't realize how crucial sunlight is in your day. Sunlight is what gets your organs functioning. Sunlight is crucial to get when you wake up in the morning, the second the sun rises, before 8 a.m. And sunlight is also important to get before you go to bed. So when the sun is setting, you need to look at the sun. What this is going to do is it's going to reduce the effects of blue light, so you're going to get higher quality sleep if you watch the sun set. Now, this has been the only thing that's been seen to genuinely reduce the effects of blue light on your brain and staying up at night. And then throughout the day, it's important to get 30 minutes of sunlight because this is what you need to get sufficient D3 levels absorbed into your skin. And it also helps your body set that circadian rhythm, that clock inside of your head. It's going to boost your hormonal activity within your body because your organs are actually going to be functioning how they should be. The next thing I'm going to say you need to do in this beginner phase is learn how to properly breathe. You could research box breathing. That's personally what I recommend. And the good thing about these breathing styles is you don't have to do them forever. Your body naturally breathes in these ways. There's just been things in your environment that have changed how you breathe. So if you do something such as box breathing once a week, then it's naturally over time going to change your breathing patterns throughout the entire day. Most people only actually breathe with 60% efficiency. And I'm not telling you to over breathe. I'm not telling you to breathe more because that's going to get too much carbon dioxide in your system. Carbon dioxide is very important for your organs' functions, actually, despite common belief. But carbon dioxide is important, but a certain ratio needs to be maintained inside your body for your oxygen to efficiently be passed. If you have too much carbon dioxide, then you're only going to breathe at a lower efficiency level. For the average man, it's 60%. You should be breathing slowly till your balls bulge a little. And if you breathe deep enough, you're honestly probably going to fart if you have to fart. So that's one issue with it. So you breathe in slowly, you pause, you exhale slowly, and you pause, and then the cycle repeats. Now let's get a bit into sleep. You need to sleep between 60 and 67 degrees. Now you could go cooler than this because your body actually has to drop by 2 degrees to fall asleep and stay asleep, but never go higher than this. The reason you could go lower than this is how your body functions. The reason you poke your hands and your feet outside of the blanket is because this helps your body cool down. Your body actually absorbs a lot of heat through the palms of your hands and the bottom of your feet. Now, if you have a lot of blankets, then your body pulls your limbs back underneath the blankets, and suddenly your body warms up to the proper temperature if it gets too cold. So it's fine to go to a temperature that's lower than 60 to 67 degrees if you're actually sleeping with a lot of blankets. But you never want to go hotter because in an environment with more heat, you are not going to be able to fall asleep. A weighted blanket has been seen to improve your ability to reach REM sleep, which is where testosterone is produced. So you don't need a weighted blanket, but it certainly helps. Now, mouth taping is very important because remember how earlier I said you're going to produce less testosterone if you're breathing through your mouth? Well, during the night, it's when you're secreting the most testosterone. You have the most secretion periods. Each time you're in REM sleep, you're secreting more testosterone. So if you're taping your mouth shut, you're going to consistently get more testosterone inside of your sleep. Now, if you overthink at night, that's an issue with your morning routine. You're not giving yourself enough time to overthink in the morning. That's why I really recommend you wake up extremely early. I wake up before 6 a.m., somewhere around 5 a.m. What this does for me is it gives me time where nobody else is awake. You have time to overthink. You do not touch your phone during this period of time. It is solely you and your thoughts and you being productive. You could read, you could work on your hardest task during the day this time, but it's you and your thoughts, and you're going to notice this is very quickly going to improve your ability to fall asleep at night. But here's what I will tell you. Whatever time you decide on, you cannot change. It has to be your set time. Stop paying attention to whether you're going to get the exact amount of sleep you want. Start paying attention to the time you wake up. Get an app like Alarmy that goes off every single morning at the exact same time, and this is going to improve your sleep quality to a whole new level. The reason this is better than sleeping in and getting more sleep is because when you sleep in and get more sleep, what actually happens is you lower your sleep quality the following days. And because of that lower sleep quality, you're actually overall going to get less benefits from the additional sleep than you would get from having the consistent sleep quality. But I'm not saying the time you sleep doesn't matter. The time you sleep is still very important. You need to sleep 7.5 to 9 hours each night. Now, 7.5 and 9 hours don't have a huge difference in testosterone. 9 hours is slightly more optimal. Lower than 7 hours, your testosterone starts plummeting. Over 9 hours, it starts slowly going down and you start losing the benefits. Now, the researchers don't know exactly why this is, but it's assumed that it's because the more you sleep, the less active you're being. You're likely missing your 8 a.m. wake up time, because remember earlier I said you need sunlight before 8 a.m. So simply, it's not something to overthink about. Just sleep 7.5 to 9 hours. I personally sometimes sleep 7.5 if I have time. If I'm having a harder life at the moment, if I'm working on harder tasks, then I'm more so opt for 9 hours. Or even if I need more time while working on harder tasks, then I'm just going to sleep 7.5 hours, like right now. I don't have time to go about my whole life and work on this video at the same time. How do I solve that? I sleep for 7.5 instead of 9 hours. Now, I want to talk a bit about your workout style. Obviously, you should be working out. Obviously, you should be training some sort of physical thing if you want to increase your testosterone. But I'm going to give you a few notes so you could understand how exactly you could customize your workout to your liking. So, remember how your hormones work. Your cortisol is energy. Your cortisol is what deploys energy to your body, and your testosterone is what makes you resistant to stress. So, when you start working out, your testosterone goes up. Your testosterone is going up to handle the resistance of the weight, to handle the stress it is putting on your body. But that peaks between 30 minutes and an hour. That's when you hit your peak during your workout. After that, your cortisol starts going up. Why? Because your cortisol is deploying energy to continue going. Your body doesn't have any more fuel to keep going. Now, the simple solution to this is eating some sort of natural sugar after an hour of working out. It's still not quite as optimal, but it does help reduce the effect of the cortisol stunting your testosterone. Now, there's actually some reason to work out in the morning. It's not a huge deal, but when you work out late at night, what it does is it increases your body temperature. Remember how I said when you're going to bed, you want your temperature to drop by 2 degrees? Now, this 2 degrees is 2 degrees below your baseline. When you work out, your body is going to go well above baseline. So after you work out, if you work out after your temperature maximum, then it is going to be pretty important that you do some things to assist your transition to a cooler body temperature. Your temperature maximum is 10 hours after you wake up. So I recommend working out within your first 10 hours of waking up, because your body is actually trying to increase its heat, and this is going to support that. It's going to support your circadian rhythm. So you have completed the beginner phase, you have optimized past the point of being a beginner, and now you are into the intermediate phase. In this stage, we are trying to increase your health and capabilities of your Leydig cells. We are going to increase your follicle-stimulating hormone and your luteinizing hormone. What this is going to do is tell your body to produce testosterone. It's going to tell it that we need more of this. We need to ramp this up. And in this stage, you will actually start noticing the benefits of higher testosterone compared to normal testosterone. And going from this stage to the advanced stage is when you really notice the benefits of increasing your testosterone. You're going to actually notice that your testosterone is starting to make improvement on your life. The first thing I'm going to tell you for this is to reduce your cortisol at night, because this impacts all 3 of these categories. Now, I could make a whole video on ways to reduce your cortisol and ways to have healthy cortisol levels, but I think it is more important to cover testosterone specifically in this video, so I'm just going to give you the brief things you could do to have maybe 75-80% cortisol efficiency at night. So first of all, you could get the gist. Lower stress means lower cortisol. So lower your stress. And then there are some spices you could put in your food to lower cortisol. These spices aren't commonly talked about, but they're saffron and fenugreek. I think I pronounced that right. And then natural sugars are also great to reduce cortisol. So don't eat them within 2 hours of bed. That has other stuff that I don't want to get into, but impacts your growth hormone and can impact your testosterone too close to bed. But if you eat it 2 hours before bed, this is going to drop your cortisol and it's going to keep you healthy when you are asleep. So this is the best period of time to eat your fruit if you're not in the gym. And then the final thing I'm going to bring up to you is ashwagandha. You could simply take ashwagandha before bed. Never take it in the morning. You want high cortisol in the morning. Always take it before bed if you are having trouble with stress or falling asleep at night. Now on to your Leydig cells. Your Leydig cells are what are producing testosterone. So this is going to be a big section in this part. You need to have properly functioning Leydig cells if you want high testosterone levels. So we're going to go through the things, literally everything you could do for higher quality Leydig cells you need to be doing. So we are going to give you that information right here. First thing I'm going to tell you is red light therapy is great for them. Red light therapy helps the mitochondria, which is a crucial part of your Leydig cells. There are two great supplements for this. The first one is omega-3 fish oils, and the second one is actually Tongkat-Ali. Tongkat-Ali is great at rebooting your system, rebooting the damage that the modernization has done to your Leydig cells. This is why it boosts your testosterone by 100 to 200 nanograms a deciliter. Now think about it. What exactly delivers nutrients and oxygen to your Leydig cells? It is blood flow. Now, if you are sitting for too long and cutting off circulation or reducing circulation or heating this area up, it's not going to get the proper nutrients that it needs. There was a study that looked at people who sat more than 4 hours a day, and if you weren't getting up out of your chair to sort of uncompress your thighs, then those people actually had lower testosterone levels just from sitting 4 hours or more inside of a day. And then when you are sitting, man spread, bro. Stop being a, let's not use that word, but man spread. You should be getting comments. Dude, why are you man spreading so much? Stop taking up so much space. The people who are complaining are the low T individuals. You should crave that feeling and just laugh it off. And then avoid tight clothes. I find it funny that a lot of people say, oh, this guy's a Hamza clone. He wears a robe. As if Hamza owns a damn robe. The reason I wear a robe is because, well, it's made of cloth, and also because it allows my balls to breathe. I'm not suffocating my undercarriage with pants and all that. Yes, I do have my balls out on my chair right now, so I recommend none of my buddies, if you're watching this, stay away from my chair. And then another thing you could just tick off the list is sleeping with your balls out. Sleep with them out and a pillow between your legs. That way they never suffocate and they're breathing. Perfect. 8 hours of quality time for your balls. Higher quality Leydig cells, higher testosterone. And notice how we've been talking about heat. You can't submerge your balls in a hot place. If you're submerging your balls or sitting in a hot shower, it is going to lower your testosterone levels. What was seen is that only 30 minutes a week of hot water exposed to your balls dropped your sperm count by 22%. Now that's not testosterone specifically, but if you could imagine, if you have lower sperm from this, it's likely damaging your Leydig cells, and in the longer run, your testosterone is going to take a hit from it. And then believe it or not, notice how I mentioned your circadian rhythm in the last section. Your circadian rhythm is crucial for them to actually age well and to avoid your testosterone from dropping at a rate faster than 1% per year after the age of 23. I'm going to real quick recap. 2 minutes of sunlight before 8 a.m., 30 minutes in the middle of the day, and 2 minutes before bed or when the sun is setting. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, bro, I smoke and I vape and it's nicotine. Nicotine increases testosterone. I'm set, bro. I'm going to keep doing this. This is great for my testosterone. Now, I'm going to be honest. At first, you're right. Nicotine is great for your testosterone. But the issue is that this increases your prolactin and damages your Leydig cells. So this is another thing that is good for your body at first, but very quickly it has the opposite effect and it starts permanently damaging your testosterone production. Same with alcohol, but alcohol doesn't have the positive side in the first place. It's just straight negative. drinking is never good for your Leydig cells or your testosterone in general. Now, it's not too studied of a topic. I only could find one study on it, but I did find one study that said that nature improves your Leydig cells function. So it makes sense. I mean, humans are meant to be out in nature, but there's not too much proof on this. So take this as how you will. I personally believe this and think it has a very positive effect on your testosterone, whether it's just mental, helping you out that way, or if it's actually improving their quality. Now we're going to get into luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. But first, I'm going to go over the big thing that increases them both, the thing that is amazing for both of them, and that is actually lactate. Most people think of lactate or think of lactic acid, but humans actually have lactate. We don't have lactic acid. So when you hear somebody talking about lactic acid in a human, they're really just talking about lactate. So your body actually breaks down lactate for energy. It breaks it down and it utilizes it for energy, but there's a caveat. There's a lactate threshold, or only a certain speed that your body could utilize this at to create energy inside of your body. Hitting your lactate threshold means you can't clear it as fast as it builds up. And believe it or not, this is actually a good thing for your testosterone. The further you go past your lactate threshold, the longer your testosterone stays elevated after your workout. It can stay elevated for up to 48 hours if you crush your lactate threshold. On top of this, it also increases your LH and your FSH, therefore boosting your testosterone in the future after the workout, not just from this original dump of testosterone during the workout. Now, how do you know if you passed your lactate threshold? Passing it means that when you are leaving the gym, you are actively cramping, or it hurts, or it's painful, or that burning sensation inside of your muscle, even when you're done. That means you passed your lactate threshold. Now, the easiest place to do this is your quads. You've probably noticed it walking downstairs or walking upstairs or whatever, that your quads are on fire. Have you ever heard people say that big legs means bigger upper body? You train your legs and your upper body's going to grow. Well, this is true. It's because you are increasing your luteinizing hormone and your follicle-stimulating hormone, and therefore you're increasing your testosterone. Most of your androgen receptors are in your upper body, so you are going to build more muscle in your upper body from training legs. Now stop skipping leg day, guys. For your follicle-stimulating hormone, there's a few things you need to focus on. First, sunlight before 8 a.m. Once again, that's always important. You need to have a high baseline level of dopamine. If you are addicted to scrolling or gaming or whatever, it does in fact kill your testosterone. Literally, not because you aren't doing other things, but because the activity itself plays with your dopamine and it makes it so your baseline dopamine is lower. And then the last thing is cold showers. Why specifically cold showers? Well, cold showers are amazing for your dopamine. They make your baseline level of dopamine go higher and stay higher. So it's going to help improve this. Now on to your luteinizing hormone. How do you increase your luteinizing hormone? Well, you avoid some things and you take some things. The first thing is pesticides. Now, pesticides are horrible for your luteinizing hormone, and they are an endocrine disruptor. I'll talk more about endocrine disruptors in a little bit, but they are going to plummet your testosterone. They are horrible for it. And on top of this, you know the crazy thing? The phthalates in your life are actually increasing your absorption of these pesticides. So not only are they horrible for you, but you're absorbing more of them because of other chemicals. The next thing I'm going to mention is Fedoga agrestis. Now, why exactly do I not recommend this? It's because it could damage the DNA in your liver or your kidney. So it's not exactly the safest option, but it does improve your testosterone, and this is through skyrocketing your luteinizing hormone. So if you do have low LH, if you decide to get it tested and see you have low LH, then maybe you want to consider it. I thought I'd throw it out there for you guys. And if you do decide taking it, I recommend you cycle it once again, to avoid those toxic effects that it could have. The next thing I'm going to mention is hydration. Hydration is actually super important for it. You don't want to be dehydrated, but you also don't want to be hyperhydrated or overhydrated or have too much water in your system with a electrolyte imbalance. Now, I recommend you doing some research on the amount of water you actually need. And then as far as sodium, I have a great video on it. You could just search my channel name, add sodium or salt to the end of that, and then that video will show up. But that will give you an in-depth explanation on why the FDA recommendations are wrong with sodium. And you actually need a lot of sodium in your diet, and it's pretty important for a healthy life. And then obviously there's the other components of hydration, but do your own research on hydration. We are now on to the advanced section. If you guys notice that I start losing my voice, that is because right now I've been recording for 2 hours and 35 minutes. So starting to have a bit of trouble speaking, but we're going to continue on. We're going to finish this video and crank it right out. Okay, now that we are on to the advanced section, I'm going to be talking more about endocrine disruptors and modern things that are impacting your hormones. Now, I want to warn you, I think this is where a lot of people get stuck, where they're doing all these things right here, but they're not doing the things I mentioned previously. Remember, you have to follow the order I am giving you. So, be careful. If you are stuck in this stage, you are likely missing something before this that you don't know about or you're not actually doing. Now, the first thing I'm going to mention is the phone. The phone is a huge issue with dopamine, and we're going to get a bit more in depth with dopamine. So by increasing your circulating dopamine in the pituitary gland, your body actually releases more testosterone. And it's actually a compounding effect. It's hard to get out of the effect of low dopamine, but it compounds. So when you do increase your baseline level of dopamine, you work harder because harder work is easier. You're not as distracted. You work harder and you have higher testosterone. So working harder now becomes easier. Now that you have higher testosterone, you're less likely to want to do these activities that lower your dopamine, and the cycle repeats. And I'm going to talk more about competition later, but because we're speaking about dopamine, a win creates a big release of dopamine. So if you win, then your testosterone is also going to go up. And then researchers found that the more sunlight you get in your eyes throughout the day, the higher your baseline level of dopamine is going to be. Nighttime light is actually a huge issue with testosterone. Because of all our lights, our artificial lights sitting everywhere, your computer has a little light on it you can't shut off. Every single thing is lit up in some small way that's actually keeping you awake at night. Within 5 years of the iPhone being released, testosterone dropped by a total of 145 nanograms a deciliter on average. That was a 25% drop at the time in 5 years. So it is very clear that the iPhone is an issue and you need to avoid it at night. The reason why these little lights matter so much is because your retinas actually become more sensitive the closer you are to bed. So the later in the day, the more likely a small light is going to keep you awake. Really early in the morning, you need that bright 8 a.m. sunlight so you do wake up your whole body, because not many looms are bright enough to actually wake your body up. At night, your body actually wakes up from barely any light. You could get a very little amount of light in your face, and it will significantly impact your ability to fall asleep. So now I'm going to get on to estrogenics and BPAs. What are estrogenics and what are BPAs? Well, simply, they're chemicals that spike our estrogen. Estrogenics are a huge issue right now. Plastic, receipts. I could go on. I'm gonna go on in a second. I'm going to list the things that are going to spike your estrogen and bind up your testosterone. So your testosterone isn't going to be able to play a role in your body. Your testosterone can't convert to estrogen if your body's already flooded to estrogen, so you won't get the masculinizing effects. Your body can't build muscle if it's not binding to the androgen receptors because of the estrogen. Studies have shown that these actually nuke your ability to have children because they have such a devastating effect on your sperm count. And several studies have shown that it nukes your testosterone too. So we're going to go through the things that you could remove from your life that are destroying your life and your ability to produce your crucial sex hormones. Now, real quick, I want to mention a theory I have. It's solely just a theory, but I'm pretty confident I'm right. So, sex steroid hormones change your brain. We've been over that. It's pretty obvious. But I have a theory that these estrogenics and these BPAs in our environment are actually the reason everybody's chopping their dick off. Because it hasn't been an issue the entire time of humanity. You can't even argue that it was because it was frowned upon back then. It is simply at too high of a rate for it to be normal for humans. It is way past any other species in the rate of homosexuality, and changing your gender, I believe, is just a mental illness. What I am saying is, because brain scans actually show if you have lower testosterone, you're closer to the other sex, and same with women, if they have higher testosterone or unbalanced estrogen, they get closer to a man. I believe this is the reason people are going trans, because their brain is actually changed to be much more similar to the other gender than it should be, so it confuses people. So me saying it is a mental illness isn't just to insult people. It's not to insult people at all. It's simply because I believe it is a result of chemicals, not from nature. Now, the biggest estrogenic in your life is plastic. Plastic has a huge impact on your life. And why? Plastic contains BPAs. You get BPAs in your skin by touching it, by heating it up, by consuming it, by any of that. A lot of you have heard of BPA-free plastics, but BPA-free doesn't even work, because BPA-free means that they replace it with other chemicals, and these other chemicals are endocrine disruptors as well. Some simple things you could do is make sure everything you drink out of is metal. Always have your water sitting in metal instead of sitting in plastic. You could get a bamboo toothbrush. A bamboo toothbrush is simply just not scrubbing your teeth with plastic. You're rubbing BPAs in your mouth if you're doing that. And then finally, you could get a robe like I am wearing. That way you are in cotton, not in plastic. Make sure you get it 100% cotton. And that robe is going to give you a way to make sure there is no plastic touching your body. Now, a common question I get is, what is the easiest estrogenic to remove from your life? And the easiest estrogenic is actually heat-based BPAs. This is when you microwave or heat up any sort of plastic. It makes all of the BPAs leak into whatever it's touching. So if you microwave your food in a plastic bowl, then it's going to spike your estrogen levels. You really need to be careful with plastics and start microwaving stuff in glass. Now, most people think our water system is perfect, and our water system is not perfect. Our water system actually does not filter out hormones because the molecules are too small. They slip through our water system. Why don't we make it filter these out? Well, simply, it's too expensive to make the whole water system filter them out. So that leads you wondering, how could you filter out these chemicals from our water? If you want to get a more expensive filter, go ahead and buy a 4-stage reverse osmosis filter from AquaTrue. You could also buy a charcoal filter, and then the cheapest is just a water distiller. A water distiller makes the water evaporate and drip, and that dripped water doesn't have any of the BPAs in it. So you know of all those flimsy packages that they package food in, all the flimsy plastics? You know how they make those flimsy? They're with phthalates. Now, phthalates are a really harmful form of estrogenic. So I know it might be hard to not buy any food in that, but if you can, if you have the option, what I recommend is going to local farmers and just directly getting your food from them, unpackaged, in whatever you could get it in a cardboard box, maybe a paper bag. I'm sure you could figure that out. It's not too hard to figure out what to package something in that isn't plastic. I should have mentioned this back in the food section, but you should avoid seed oils, because seed oils are just swarmed with stuff that kills your testosterone. They're horrible for you. There's there's no arguments that against them that aren't just biased from stupid companies. And then also make sure you avoid low fat foods. This is normally a trap people fall in because low fat means they replace that fat with either sweeteners that are artificial or sugar. Neither of those you want. You actually want the fat inside of that food. And then the next thing is body wash and colognes. It was seen that people who use a body wash with phthalates actually have a 5% lower testosterone level. So I recommend you don't wear cologne except on a rare occasion, and you don't buy any body washes with phthalates in them, preferably all natural. I use Everyman Jack's body wash and shampoo because they're simply the cheapest option that I could find that still has it as a very healthy option for your skin and your health. And then the next thing I recommend is avoiding deodorant with aluminum. This traps in BPAs or traps in your sweat. So those BPAs get stuck in your skin and they keep affecting your body. Now, if you're like me and you sweat a lot, you may have to put on deodorant every once in a while, the aluminum kind or the antiperspirant kind, but make sure you also have a stick that is just the normal kind without aluminum. And then this personally, I haven't implemented into my routine, but I want to because I know it's bad. I just don't know the solution. Laundry detergent is actually really bad for you. So if you find a substitute for laundry detergent, great. If not, well, you're dealing with what I'm dealing with. And then as far as hair gel, like why are you guys putting hair gel in every day? Stop putting hair gel, all your spray, spending half an hour on your hair. You look like a woman doing all that. Like, are you gay? I don't understand why men spend so much time on their hair. So simply just don't worry about it. Don't put in hair gel because that is a estrogenic. And then the last thing I'm going to mention that you really need to avoid is receipts. Never touch a receipt. Doesn't matter what the case is. A receipt is bad for you. You touch it, you get it on your skin, you immediately are going to have more estrogen inside of your body. Why is that? That's because the way they print a receipt, the way they get the words on the receipt so quickly is by using BPAs. That is literally just purely covered in BPAs. The coat, you notice the texture isn't necessarily papery. That is pure BPA. Now, what I recommend you doing, if you want to go more to the extreme, be like me, be a little testosterone nerd, and grab yourself a cotton glove, and you no longer have to touch it. In the cases where they're like, oh, you guys need to bring out your receipt and show them to show that you paid for your stuff. Okay, so you're avoiding BPAs, but there's no way to completely remove them from your life. So there is one way to reduce the BPAs that are inside of your body, and that's through the sauna, through sweating. Now, people act like I'm crazy, which annoys me when I say that you can sweat out toxins. Not all toxins, specifically BPAs. BPAs are the toxin I am talking about. BPAs are hyper concentrated in your sweat. So if you sweat a lot during a day or in the sauna, I have a specific sauna protocol I like to do that is going to help you remove all the BPAs inside of your body that are killing your testosterone. And then going back to your electronics, your phone in your pocket is a big deal. You should not be leaving your phone in the pocket. It spreads radiation waves that actually makes it so your balls don't produce testosterone as effectively, and it lowers your sperm count. So I recommend just holding it in your hand. It's simply no extra effort. A lot of people will argue against it, but the simple answer is it can't hurt. It can't hurt having my phone in my hand. Set it on the table at dinner. It's not that big of a deal. Just it's a very easy change that will make a difference. And then with your computer or things you set on your lap, just simply don't, because not only is it going to have those waves that I'm talking about, even if you don't believe in those, these are still going to microwave your balls. Your balls are hot as hell after you sit down for half an hour with your computer in your lap. If you have to put your phone in your pocket, turn it on airplane mode. And then the next thing I'm going to bring up is aromatase inhibitors. Now, you could do your own research on what exactly the aromatase inhibitors are. My go-to is green tea. But what these do is they prevent your testosterone from being converted to estrogen because aromatase is the enzyme that does that conversion. Now, this normally isn't a good thing, actually. You actually don't want this to happen a lot, but if you have a lot of signs of high estrogen, this is a good tool to have in your arsenal. Now we're on to Elite. And first, I want to congratulate you on your effort for getting this far and working this hard to get to this stage. Now, this is where you're getting your brain to ramp your testosterone into overdrive. You could actually increase your testosterone through your adrenals and other means other than just your balls. So, we are going to discuss how you could optimize your brain and your adrenals in this section. And then, on top of that, we want to talk a bit about your androgen receptors. There's a single way you could get more androgen receptors inside of your body. So we're going to discuss that, and that's going to help you see more effects from the testosterone that you do have. So the first thing I want to bring up is, does being around women increase testosterone? And what researchers found was a brief 5-minute interaction actually is best for that idea. But what's actually better is to be around masculine driven men. That is what was found to increase your testosterone by the greatest extent. Now think about it. Why do masculine men boost your testosterone? Well, it's because of the purpose of testosterone. The purpose of testosterone in general, in this world, in nature. Why does it exist? Well, in nature, if you look at an animal, they fight for a woman based off how much testosterone they have. The more testosterone they have, the longer they fight. It is what drives competition. It's what gets them to keep going. Woman animals in nature actually could tell from the pheromones what man has higher testosterone from their pee and actually follows those tracks and actually gets attracted to that male compared to other males. And why is that? That's simply because someone with higher testosterone is more willing to fight, more protective, and has better qualities and characteristics. So let me ask you, yeah, you have all these structures in place to produce testosterone, but you know what's ultimately signaling the production? It's your brain. And how do you get your brain to signal it more? Through competition. It's through what you need. Competition is really what's going to bring you from the top 25%, the top 10% even maybe, to the top 1%, to the top 0.1%, to the top 0.1%. So if you really want to succeed at this journey, if you really want to surpass everybody else, then you need to find a way to keep constant competition in your life. Whether that's joining a sports team or going to fight, some sort of competition is going to help you a lot. And fighting specifically is the best because testosterone is very responsive to fighting. It's seen to be the sport that increases your testosterone the most. There's a reason that when you test UFC fighters for high testosterone, it almost always comes back high. It's because of the pure competition it drives and the pure primal instincts you're bringing into your brain to produce more testosterone. You know what else a competitive environment creates? It creates a situation where your adrenals are more active, and your adrenals actually also produce testosterone. This is where most of the testosterone in women is coming from. Now, if you optimize your level of competition, this isn't going to be any crazy number. But if you have 50 nanograms a deciliter of testosterone higher just from being competitive, just from your adrenals, that is a very large jump. That is enough to feel. Like I said earlier, testosterone reduces stress and anxiety, and it helps you push harder and further with less suffering. And don't just think of competition when I speak about this. Think of other emotions too, because all emotions significantly impacts how your body reacts. Pride increases your testosterone. That sense of winning, if you win or you succeed, it's actually seen to jump your testosterone a lot. So you could get yourself in a positive feedback loop. You could find ways where you could consistently win at something, and that's going to drive your testosterone through the roof. That's going to help you a lot because your brain is now going to see you as a winner and as a leader. The two things that suppress testosterone are shame and guilt. Those are going to be the biggest emotions you want to avoid. And the way I recommend avoiding this is by gratitude journaling and meditating. Those are my personal go-tos. They are amazing for your mental health, and your mental health is crucial in this journey. And I know you're quite curious, how exactly do I increase my amount of androgen receptors? If you didn't know what androgen receptors do, they're what your androgens bind to. Your testosterone binds to these androgen receptors, and it plays the role of building muscle. If you have no androgen receptors in your body, then your testosterone won't increase the amount of muscle you're building. These androgen receptors are what's causing your testosterone to help you build muscle, to help with protein synthesis. So there's one supplement that I recommend taking for this. This is the only way to increase your amount of androgen receptors. This is L-carnitine. Now you should take about 4,000 milligrams of L-carnitine a day. Now this seems like a lot. A normal dose is about 500 milligrams, but the reason you take this much is because it's not very bioavailable, so you have to take a lot. You want to be having 500 milligrams bioavailable to see the effects. Many people actually inject this, even though it's completely natural, because that's the only way to get it 100% bioavailable, and they'd rather that over taking a bunch of pills. Now, to conclude the video, I want to thank you. Thank you for watching this much, and congratulate you on being the top 10% already who finished this video. This was a very long, very informative video. I know it was tiring taking in all this information. I know you may have had to come back over and over again to actually take in and absorb all this information, and you're taking notes, right? You better have taken notes. Now utilize these notes and actually highlight the parts you are going to start doing right now. Highlight the parts that you need to do, and then sort of underline the parts that you should consider that aren't quite where you're at right now. And don't forget, in 1 year, you and your friend will have your testosterone levels tested after you guys compete to be the best. Remember, who will be the victor? You better be the victor. As lifelong learners, perspicacity is our grindstone for success. Keep on grinding, boys.